Service like this, it's important to celebrate your life, right? Because that's what a big thing.
And all the old will be made new, and the thought that makes me smile now, even as tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven.
And how do you like what you do? And I used to ask a lot of people that question that were in the industry for a lot of years, and most of them would say, don't do it, it's very tough, it's really hard, you gotta knock on doors, most of you guys are in this business, right? John was very positive. He had nothing but good things to say. He met me within like 5 minutes and told me that I was gonna be a superstar. That was just John, right? You're gonna be great at this, I can tell. And any question that I had, he answered it with open arms. And that was my first meeting with John. And then over the years, you hear things about people over the years. I heard a lot of things about Ruth and a lot of things about John. And, you tend to form these opinions in your head until you meet him in person. Again. And then I met him when we had the building, and I come to realize that all those stories are absolutely true. He was an incredible man.
So I did ask my husband the other day, I said, what was John's response when you caught him? Because I was not there. And Eddie said, I really can't remember. He says, but it's a good thing I wasn't in the backyard and I saw someone coming over that fence. So as time went on, John and I worked for John and Ruth back and forth, different things. And Eddie.
One of the last times I saw him, he came to the office for a property management meeting, and his caregiver, she wheels him into my office, and he dismisses her. You can go now.
Whatever. And so I call Ruthie and John all the time. I don't work for them, they're friends of mine, but I can tell
John and Ruth, especially in the real estate space, especially one of their favorite places, Sinatra's at Encore in Vegas. The staff knew them on a first-name basis, and they just had that kind of presence,
Years, my husband had passed away 14 years ago. And Ruth and I, we were like the four musketeers. We did everything together. So instead, I want to share with you what I observed and what I know in my heart.
And it has to do with really, yes, the memories, as I said. John, Ruth, Dave, and I, we always said we had a 10-year run. We did it all. Sipping wine, talking, laughing, loving life, playing golf, going over to California, going to the races at Del Mar, staying in fancy resorts, the casinos, the fancy dinners. When Dave was laying on his deathbed, we looked at each other. He was actually asleep pretty much, but it was like, we had a 10-year great run. And I don't know how many people could say that. And so I'm very grateful for that. Dapper Dresser was my next one, even toward the end of his life. And when John was so sick, we'd go out to dinner and he would still be in his best, finest shirts, right? He always looked great no matter what. He was quite the man. Partier is my number 5 because he loved to party. All the New Year's Eves that we would spend together and on the dance floor, right, Ruth? The dance floor and the smiling face and him just going to town. It was wonderful, and that's something too that I'll always remember. Number 6, he loved Ruth. Absolutely, absolutely. As you've all said, it's always was John and Ruth, Ruth and John. They were attached at the hip.
He's the only one that could put up with me.
Yeah, Dave with me too. But yes, that was just treasured Ruth, and just, seeing that love, the love they had for each other was beautiful. A warrior. I also use that word for my husband Dave, who suffered a pancreatic cancer. John had many, many warriors that he had to fight and battle, and he was an absolute warrior. Never complained, never ever complained, never said, why is this happening to me? He was a true warrior. Next, he was a go-getter. When you think about his career, he was a go-getter, right? All of you know him probably on that level, and I admire him for that. Number 9, he was a best friend to my husband, Dave. He was Dave's best friend. And I don't know how many men can actually say they have a best friend who they confide in, who they sit and have cigars together and actually talk about life, not just the surface stuff. Those two were so close. And I know now they're up in heaven together. They're drinking, they're gambling, they're having their cigars. They said, we did it, So I'm glad they're together. Last, number 10 is blessed. John had a good life, a home. He had a really, really wonderful life. And so John Ahlbrand will forever be remembered, and especially in my heart.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, it's going to be amazing if I can make it up these steps. I did it. Okay. Well, I don't have 10 things, I have 6 pages. But it's big print. And I told myself when to pause, so I hope I do this right. I was looking on YouTube, of course, and wondering, how do you do this? How do you do a funeral speech or say about your loved one? And who I found was Kevin Costner. So Kevin Costner is doing the eulogy for Whitney Houston. And he comes up on stage and he says, yeah, I'm gonna read it, because I ain't screwing this up. And I said, okay, that gives me permission to kind of read, because I don't want to cry, I don't want to get weak, because I'm going to be strong for John. So, thank you everybody for being here. It warms my heart and his, and it means the world to us. I see everybody I know, which is so heartwarming. Each of you represent a piece of his history, a piece of his journey. And together, we paint a full, beautiful picture of who he was. He was my husband. God bless me. My partner in life and business, my best friend, my greatest blessing. We spent over 3.5 decades, side by side, working, playing cards, traveling with friends, dreaming about our future, and laughing a lot. We all know his sense of humor was unbelievable. Well, as stubborn as I was, John still managed to teach me how to play golf. Not his straight, booming drive down the fairway, but hey, I showed up. And we loved it, didn't we, John? Joan and I were like, the guys would say, David and Joan would say, Okay, 8 shots, that's it per bowl, right? In 1998, he bought a golf cart. And when John could no longer play, he generously gave it to his friends who are here today. And now those same friends are giving it back to me. So every morning, I'll be driving that cart to the fitness center. And I know John will be up there grinning, telling me how to work out properly. And John and I weathered more than a few storms, as you know. And somehow, he faced every single one with quiet bravery. And like you said, he was a valiant warrior and a strength that basically humbled me over the years. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it. But he did, valiantly, and like so many have said, without any complaints. John always said he had what's called the gift of gab, kind of like Tony, okay? But he said AKA BS. And then he said, I brought the touch of tech, AKA boring. But together we were a mighty team. John lived the spirit that was both gentle and unbreakable. Even in the face of 25 years of Parkinson's, 10 battles with cancer, he never let illness define him. He smiled every day. He stayed kind, hopeful, helpful, always helping people be the best that they could be. We lived by a quiet code. I'm sure if you've been in any of my classes, you've heard it. HOP, happiness, optimism, and positivity. And then when things got really rough, he added one more line. With that charming smile of his, he looked at me. We are HOP and we never quit. And he didn't. And neither will I. I am standing here today in the same church where we were married. Yeah, we were married right here in this church. Quite a while ago. And I can still hear the song that he chose for our wedding. It was Because You Loved Me by Celine Dion. These words will echo in my heart now and forever. When she sings, you were my strength when I was weak. You were my voice when I couldn't speak. You were my eyes when I couldn't see. You saw the best there was in me. That was John. He lifted me up. He believed in me. And because he loved me, I am who I am today. And I am more than I ever dreamed I could ever be. I was a true nerd. A few words, and always glued to my computer. And then he taught me how to be social. Toby knows. And actually communicate with real people. So he would say, let's go, Ruthie, it's showbiz. And then over the years he says, yep, I bloomed this little rose and now I can't shut her up. Land the plane, Ruthie. He's probably saying that now. And John loved his staff who worked so hard for him and were such a part of his success. Over the past couple of years, he appreciated and continued all the support, all the calls, the visits, the prayers, the messages of caring and love. Your kindness, all of you, has helped us through these hardest times, and today, seeing everybody here lifts me up again. After the service, we're going to gather for a small reception with wine and some music, and I hope you will join and share some stories and raise a glass and honor the man we were also lucky to know. John wanted this to be called his parting party, not a celebration, his parting party. He wanted a party, and he was very adamant about that. So I think he'd smile knowing we're still finding ways to honor him with love, with laughter, and maybe a little wine.
And by the way, he learned about wine early in his childhood because he was an altar boy. Oh, my love, John, you are just more than words can say. But your light lives on in every life you've touched, and I see so many faces that you've helped. I made a little prayer. I just felt like I had to. So if you would just indulge me. Oh, Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of John's life, for his heart of gold, his fierce tenacity, his quick wit, and his unshakable spirit. He met every challenge with quiet strength and a soft smile, often saying, I'm fine, it's just another day in paradise. Now, Lord, he is truly in paradise, free of pain, free of struggle, forever. Thank you for the love he gave so freely, not just to us, but to be happy and Rocky too, who were always by his side. And as we say, I'll be seeing you. Help us live with the same courage, the humor, the strength, and the grace that you showed us. Surround us with peace today and the days to come, and may you rest now in perfect peace, hope forever in your love, in paradise free of pain. Amen. And now, the story behind the rose. Y'all got a rose. Today, I want to share 3 small happenings, but deeply meaningful. You each received a rose when you arrived, and that wasn't by accident. John loved to give me flowers, and sometimes for a reason, and sometimes for no reason at all. So he gave a rose to all the girls in the office on Valentine's Day. To him, flowers meant something. They meant life's beauty, its softness, its grace, and the importance of showing love while we're still here to give it. And when John supported me back in 1987, he discovered that after my daily morning workout, yes, I'm a very boring, consistent person, I would always stop for coffee at the coffee pub. Creature of habit, like I said I am, he started showing up. He'd be there, smiling, charming, casually sipping coffee, just hoping to sit with me, talk with me, and make me laugh. And little by little, it worked. Love bloomed. But here's the part that makes my heart melt. Thank you. On the days that he couldn't be there at 6:30 in the morning, he didn't just skip it. He made sure I still felt his presence. He gave Robin, I don't think Robin made it today, but if she were, she'd say, thumbs up. She was my waitress, and he gave her a rose. And he said, give it to Ruthie when she comes in. Because even when he couldn't be there, he wanted me to know he was thinking of me. And that's how our love bloomed. With kindness, with intention, and showing up. Just like the rose that you have. So today, the rose you hold is from John. It's his way of giving one last thank you for being part of his life, for showing up for him, for loving him. So take it home and think of him. And maybe when the time feels right, give someone else a rose. Just because that's what John would do. Number 2. Early in the morning after John passed, I took the puppies for a walk. I didn't work out that day. They were very sad, and it showed. So we were coming back to the house where we have, you guessed it, 12 rose bushes in their front. But they haven't bloomed yet. But as we walked closer to the house, I saw one of the bushes had one rose. And I knew that was from John. With tears in my eyes, I cut it and carried it with me all week, as my staff will tell you. What you do, carry that rose in that little bud vase. I took it everywhere I went. And then my third happening Just last week, Palm Mortuary was so kind to let me have a private viewing of John, as he was not going to be publicly viewed. And I walked into the room where he laid so peacefully, without pain, with his hands across his chest. And I looked up, and there were 2 roses. In this face, this is it. It overwhelmed me. And I cried, and I said to John, as I laid the roses on his hands, "Baby, there's a rose from you to me. And it's my turn, because there's 2. Here's one from me to you." Those 2 roses are still alive. I put them in my refrigerator. Those are these roses. They're still alive. You put them in the refrigerator. And this morning I put ice in the bottom just so they would not wilt. With my grateful heart, I must tell you that I will carry on with strength and hope and faith and hope, giving it all for you all, because I ain't going anywhere. And know that it's just another day in paradise. Be happy. It's his parting party. He's in no pain. Be happy. All of you who saw him in that pain and suffering will understand what I meant. The man never complained. He's in heaven. He's without pain. For that, I am happy and grateful. And thank you all for coming for his parting party. I am 78 years old. I wasn't going to say that.
Touched my heart.
It's very interesting. As I've told you before, saying goodbye is hard. I'm going to share something about that here in a second. But Jesus has just told his disciples that Amen? The service is over. Your time together does not have to be. All right? Thank you.
How are you, gorgeous? Good, how are you?
Yeah, I gotta go.
Saturday. But we'll be in touch. Love you. I'm so grateful. I need
Get our mug shot.